book fans, crack open a beer, take a shot, do a bong rip if that tickles your fancy, because the squad is on the pod. Welcome into another edition of the Bro Force Squad. I'm Matt Geiger, and since this is Doctor Strange week, I'll be hosting because honestly, who gives a shit about what a DC guy thinks about this Marvel movie, right? Especially when we have both our Marvel bros beside me, Jeff Hornacek, and the mad scientist Brian Banner. So let's kick off the show like we kick off every show by going around the horn and saying what we're sipping on. So Jeffrey, what you drinking tonight?
I am normally rocking a Pinot Grigio or a Cabernet Sauvignon, but tonight, because I've not got a chance to pour my drink yet, I'm working a Dasani water. But actually, as you say that, and Banner, as you give your introduction, I'm going to go get that Cabernet Sauvignon. So I'll toss it to you.
Right, well, Banner, take your time. Even talk about the year, because give him time to let the tannins mellow in that
Yeah,
wine.
the tannins are going to have to mellow. Let's just pause the pod for a while he goes and does that.
He's got to
talk amongst yourselves. He's got to get the one with the stork on the cork.
Don't worry, guys.
The cork on the stork.
Got the palate cleansed. We're ready to go.
Forgot the cheese plate.
The cheese? Yeah, where the fuck's the cheese at?
You can't see it on camera, but I've already chopped up a nice wheel of Gouda.
I love me some feta.
Banner,
if you had feta, I'm coming over.
This isn't a cheese podcast, Banner. Let's go.
I'm drinking some spiced rum. It's called Motu. Got it on sale at the liquor store. I realize now why it was on sale.
Here we go.
Since Halloween is long gone, it being November 3rd and all, I'm bringing in Christmas with the Shiner Cheer, because 'tis the season to get drunker and fucking puke on your own shoes. And this is my favorite fucking beer that ever comes out. Shiner Cheer. Go and ask for it at your local wine beer shop or wherever the fuck you
And
guys
I'll say
have.
this, is the label still the same as it used to be? Because I thought one of the coolest labels on that beer. Yep, love that label.
It's cool because the box is actually a gift and it says, "To you from Shiner." It's fucking awesome.
Wow.
Not mad about that at all.
Now, since I feel not a lot of people know the origin of Stephen Strange, can you guys please get us caught up before we start our chest day segment on this movie? I'm one of them, man. I'm a DC fan. Going to a comic shop since I was probably 4 years old, it wasn't a comic that I ever really grabbed and be like, what the fuck's this thing about? So kind of get us caught up on the origin before we just dip right into the chest day. Jeff, I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, so Banner, I'll keep this pretty high level, and then I'll let you come in and fill in some of the blanks on what I missed. But first off, Geiger, let me just echo your sentiment. Doctor Strange, his solo comics were something I never touched as a kid. Some of his best work is in the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, I think, and then also when he's involved in the Illuminati in the Marvel Comics, which those of you who don't know, and unfortunately will never get to see this group on screen in this form, but it is Professor Xavier, Dr. Reed Richards of the Fantastic Four, Tony Stark, and Dr. Stephen Strange, and they basically come together sometime before Civil War and decide that they're the smartest people on the planet and they can make some decisions together that maybe the rest of the world isn't of levy to make.
They're kind of like the brain trust.
Exactly, and that's part of them sending the Hulk out into space in Planet Hulk. But so that's some of his coolest stuff in the comics. I always thought he worked better in tandem with other characters because his whole kind of interdimensional demon fighting wasn't something that quite resonated with me. But anyone who loves him, no sweat there. That's kind of what we're all about. If the comic you like isn't the one I like, more power to you. But very high level, his origin story, and what I think will actually be cool to see on screen because it is a pretty nice character-driven story, is basically he's a cocky, arrogant, asshole surgeon who thinks that his shit doesn't stink. And one day he gets in a very bad car accident that basically disables his hands and he can't operate on people anymore. And he hears of a doctor in Tibet, actually somewhere near the city of Shun Lao, which was referenced in Daredevil and where Iron Fist goes, to meet a doctor called the Ancient One, who has used some medicinal healings that are not of this world that have worked before. He goes up there to get healed, finds out that she's actually talking about being a sorcerer to heal yourself. He thinks she is, or he actually in the comics, which is kind of an interesting thing we'll get to later.
Well, yeah, they actually, okay, yeah, we'll get to it later. Never mind.
So he thinks the Ancient One is fucking crazy. Turns out that the Ancient One gets him to learn how to use the mystic arts to defend our world, and he becomes the Sorcerer Supreme, long story short.
Yeah, you got it pretty good there. Hornacek grew up wanting to be a doctor. He's this is how arrogant he was though. After he got in the car accident and injured his hands, had all this nerve damage, he refused to just be making fuck ton of money being a consultant. He was one of the best neurosurgeons in the world, but he's like, no, I'm the best in the world, and basically traveled the world looking for a cure for this. Found the Ancient One. Ancient One was like, I'm not going to teach you. Ancient One starts to be attacked by Mordo, and then he vows to only selfish thing he's ever done in his life, says, I'm going to protect the Earth with you, Ancient One. Ancient One takes him under his wing. Then he becomes a Sorcerer Supreme. And his sole job is to protect the Earth from mystical threats.
Yeah,
and I think that's why he works so well, and why the best work of him in the comics are in tandem with other people, because he's protecting the Earth from a whole other dimension that nobody else really can. And that's why he works so well. And he sees things and is coming from a completely other point of view.
And we might get into this here in just a second, but in the comics, he has two main adversaries. One is Dormammu, and the other is Baron Mordo. Now, in the movie, Baron Mordo is actually Carl Mordo, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, and he starts off as a fellow studier of the mystic arts with Strange under the Ancient One's wing. I'm guessing in the first movie, and this will be really cool to set the seeds for, he will not be the villain. Obviously, Caecilius, played by Mads Mikkelsen, is the villain, but it'll be really cool to see kind of the Mordo, Strange. I think you could see Mordo getting jealous of the attention Strange gets from the Ancient One. Maybe basically being like, fuck you, Dad. I should have been the Sorcerer Supreme. Why did this guy get it? And they can really set that up and lay that, as Marvel always does, thinking a few steps ahead and sort of setting him up for that nice character arc as a villain in the second movie where he kind of makes that turn, which I think we'll see. I don't know if Dormammu will be behind the scenes in this one, or if, because the Orb of Agamotto is rumored to be kind of the MacGuffin and the Infinity Stone in this, if we'll have sort of Thanos playing behind the scenes to set up Infinity War. So that's something I'm really interested to see how Marvel goes with this, because Dormammu is a villain. If you're going to throw mysticism and sorcery at us in one movie and him, like, that's a bit much for the average moviegoer to handle in their first foray into the Marvel Universe.
Especially when you're trying to tackle a brand new subgenre of superhero movies, being the mystical arts and this whole other cosmic, not even cosmic realm, this mystical realm that we haven't even scratched the surface of, that goes so deep in the comics.
Geiger, as a DC fan and someone who's coming into this with a really fresh perspective of someone who just likes superhero movies, just wants to see a good movie, I'm interested to hear your thoughts, what you're expecting to see, what you want to see, and kind of where your expectations are.
Yeah, thank you for bringing me back in, Jeff, because all the people are probably like, where the fuck's Geiger? And I'm sorry I have nothing to add on this, because I don't know anything about Doctor Strange. I'm the DC guy, so all I have to talk about is us going through 20 fucking directors to try to get this Flash movie off the ground, or maybe Snyder tweeting out a picture of Momoa's dick on set. So I have nothing really to talk about on this. Now, excitement for this, I just got my tickets.
Oh, God, that's awful.
2 nights ago.
I took a drink of that whiskey or that rum.
$10 spice rum,
so
Banner.
bad.
What do you expect?
It's so bad.
But it tastes like $6 spice rum.
Anyway, I bought my tickets for this 2 nights ago. I told my wife. She's really excited. Let's just put it this way. I'm not as excited as if I was going, just scratch DC. If I was going into Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or Logan tomorrow, I'd be fucking jacked for this. Now, to talk about comics, how I see them as a bro, it was cool for me to like Batman and Spider-Man and everything, but the people that were playing Magic, that card game and stuff, we could make fun of them and still be cool because we like comics, right? But Doctor Strange is kind of the medium ground in between those two, where people that like the Magic card games and also like comics kind of intermingle. I'm excited about the directing just because it definitely looks like fucking Inception, so that kind of tickles my fancy. The one thing I'm really excited about, everyone's talking about Cumberbatch, I'm excited about Rachel McAdams. I fucking love her. From Mean Girls to in Southpaw, the brief time she was in it, I thought she fucking stole the show. She's a fantastic actress. The only other thing I'm going to be really pissed off as I watch this is I'm just thinking, God damn it, why can't we do a Constantine movie like this? But I know that we couldn't because Warner Brothers would probably fuck it up somehow because they could never go that deep. So I guess that I said my piece about that. What's your guys' expectations going in? What's your level of excitement? And what's one thing that you want to see from this movie? Banner, I'll throw it to you first.
So I'm really excited. I think that the trailers are really cool. They're visually this. I think this is gonna be the best Marvel movie visually out there. Just like you hit it on the head earlier when you said it looks a lot like Inception. Visually, you're gonna have that the world collapsing on itself, but then you're running up the side of a building while you're falling all at the same time. It's going to be really interesting to see how Marvel does, quote unquote, coming out of their comfort zone where they're not going to do the traditional kind of storyline that they've done with all the other ones, and tackling this whole new subgenre of mystical arts and the mystical realm. It's going to be neat to see them tackle that. I think they're going to do a good job. I think it's going to be great because they haven't proven to me yet that they're not going to do a good job. I know, Hornacek, you have your beef with Iron Man 3. I'm going to agree with you on a certain level to that. They fucked up the villain, but Marvel's never been good at villains.
They fucked up that you think? Oh my god.
And
That's like giving someone a speeding ticket for murder, just saying that. Letting them off easy.
well,
I'll have to say that, Banner, and just to jump in for a little bit, and this is a whole separate side conversation, but everyone says that Marvel's not good at the villain. Now, coming as a DC guy where we fucking do very well at villains, I'll have to say Marvel's superhero character development is better than DC's, though. So you can't have both, though. Do you want a fantastic villain?
yes.
Or do you want a superhero where their character fucking develops throughout the movie? Because, let's be honest, in a 2-hour movie or an hour 50-minute movie, you can only do so much and have a story take place, too. But I'll give Marvel, that's true. They can't do villains right. They haven't ever, in my opinion.
No. And I'll agree with that too. One last thing that I'm excited about for this Doctor Strange is how they do the Cloak of Levitation. Because in the comics, and I know none of us are real super familiar with it, but the Cloak of Levitation is almost a whole nother character. The way that it kind of floats around him and it has its own presence about it. The way if they can successfully, which the little that we've seen of it in the trailer, I think they've done it, but I can't say for sure without seeing it. It looks like they were able to do the Cloak of Levitation very well, where it almost has a mind of its own, and it's another character there with Stephen Strange. Hornacek, what do you think?
Excitement going in, and one thing you want to see.
Yeah, so going in, I'll be totally honest with you guys. I am excited to see this movie, but as a Marvel fan, someone who gets so jacked up to see every installment in the MCU, this one is lower down on my list. I think the only movie I was probably less excited before I went into it was probably Thor: The Dark World, just because Malekith was not a villain that excited me. I wanted to see the Loki dynamic, but I just wasn't like jacked up about it. I'm very excited to see this, but compared to the other Marvel movies, it's definitely down on that tier. And to Geiger's point, this is a movie that Marvel would never have been able to make 5 or 6 years ago. You need to have an established track record of being able to pull off and take some risks. Guardians, for example, and that's why they're able to do this, which is great. And it fits in perfectly. They need Doctor Strange for the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. So what I want to see going into this, the cast is great. Tilda Swinton, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Cumberbatch, Rachel McAdams, Mads Mikkelsen, all those people. If you would have told me 10 years ago they'll be in a Doctor Strange movie, I would have said you're high. And then you would have said, yeah, I was high. The movie was fucking awesome that
But
way.
I was still right.
Yeah.
It was high, but I was also right.
Scott Derrickson, the director who did Sinister, is an incredibly dark director. I'm really excited to see his take on this. I think the main thing that I want to see, though, is how they can fit him with how outlandish his character and his abilities are into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if you're a Marvel fan right now and you're going into these movies, you want to know how this is setting up Thanos' entrance to Earth to collect the Infinity Gems. I think the Orb of Agamotto in this movie is going to be one of them.
I agree.
And so I'll be very excited to see that. You know, there'll be a little bit of groundwork laid. Maybe Caecilius will even mention Thanos, but at this point, because he's not some villain that's way out on the horizon now that Marvel's just constantly teasing us with. We have a date that he's going to be on the movie screen, and Josh Brolin has started filming his mocap scenes as him. So
he's a real thing now.
Yeah, so I'm getting really fucking excited about that. And to be honest, if this wasn't part of a connected universe, I might not be seeing it on the opening Friday night, but because it is and because of the repercussions, that's why I'm jacked up and ready to go see it.
Next.
I'll say this too. Well, real quick, I've got one last thing on this. Most of the movies I don't go and see in 3D just because
This one,
I'm not gonna waste my money. This one, I have pre-bought my tickets, like I do all of them. But I'm seeing it in 3D, and I can't be more excited about it. I think I'm just as excited to see this in 3D as the first fucking 3D movie that came out, which was like Avatar or some bullshit like that back in the day.
I believe
I'm really
Step
excited
Up
for that.
to the Streets was in 3D. Pay a little respect, Jesus.
When can we mute his mic?
All right.
Is that possible?
All right. Next, I want to talk about the elephant in the room. And yes, I mean the fat piece of shit critic that has to pay for a piece of ass. So the next question, what do you think the score will be on Rotten Tomatoes from Doctor Strange from the critic standpoint and the casual fan? Now, I know some of the critics already have stuff up there. Most of them do, some of them don't. I think they're hovering around at 90%. So, Jeff, critics to fans, what do you think they're going to give? And we're going in this blind, and we'll tie this in once we do our review in a couple days, once we see the film. But what do you think?
So critics, I'll just keep this brief. The critics right now give it a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, the ones who see the early screenings and who get the press credentials to this are usually somehow writing for a comic book website, or they're people that Marvel, like their opinion means more whether they like it or not. So usually the early feedback is not indicative of exactly what the movie is. That's promising. I think critics will settle around low 80s, maybe like anywhere between like even high 70s, like 78 to 82 or 83% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. I want to say fans will be just slightly above that because they'll have a little more appreciation for the source material. And if there's some really out there stuff, it probably won't lose them as much. So I'll say the fans are going to be like right around 85%. Banner, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that overall, critics are going to see it. They're not going to know what the fuck is going on. It's an out there story. It's kind of hard to get your wrap your head around. I think they're going to give it a little bit lower score, low mid 80s maybe. Then I think you're going to have the fans that don't know anything about the comics but just know, oh shit, this is a Marvel movie, and they're just going to go ape shit and go, this is fucking awesome, give it a 95, 92, maybe even higher than that. And then they're going to see a mid and post credit scene that somehow ties it into enter another Marvel movie here, and it's going to be up there. Then you're going to have the people like us that know about Doctor Strange and can actually compare it to the source material and know what's going on. And averaging those three out, I think you're going to settle around 89, 90, 91, somewhere around there. That's what I think. I hope it's great, and that's where I'm at.
I will say this. I think the casual movie fan, it's going to be really polarizing. I don't think you're going to have many people who were like, yeah, it was okay, because people are either going to be down with what Scott Derrickson's doing visually and with the trippy interdimensional stuff, or it's just going to lose people. And that's,
they're just not going to get the story, but just be blown away by the visual effects. Or they're going to go, wait a minute, I don't understand this story, and it's going to be the complete opposite and go, this was terrible.
And that's what I've tried to tell Geiger. I think especially the first act, when it's his origin story and the car accident and becoming Doctor Strange, he'll be really into. When the Ancient One introduces the mystic arts, that's where there's a chance that we could lose the casual movie fan. And if I had to guess the jumping off point at that point, Geiger, you'll probably either be balls deep into it, let's go, or you'll just be like, you've lost me.
For the casual fan, I think they'll give it anywhere from, I think in the mid-80s somewhere, just simply because even if you don't know anything about this guy, it is an origin movie for everything I've kind of taken from it. So even if you don't know anything about Batman, you're not going into this
It'll slowly introduce you to the
and be
world.
like, what the fuck's going on? They'll keep you up for everything. So I think that has it going for him, and what every Marvel movie does. A Marvel movie could be a C-, but if that fucking after credit scene ties into something that I know and makes me want to see the next movie, it's all about the lasting impression, man.
Are we talking about the after credit scene or the mid credit scene? Because I'm confused.
I don't know what either. I don't know.
Everything is an after credit scene. If it's after the movie, it's a fucking after credit scene. I'm sick of fucking discussing this. This is an after credit scene. And all you Marvel fanboys, we invented it. Look it up. We did it in fucking Batman Returns. We invented it.
And you perfected it in Green Lantern.
Yes, damn right we did. And we were going to do it in Superman Lives or whatever that other fucking movie is that got scrapped with Michael Keaton. Now, for the critics, you guys are going to have to help me again. I've been drinking Shine or Cheer, if you remember from the beginning. Who's making this movie? Who's making it?
Marvel Studios.
Okay, so it'll get 115% from critics because they're in Marvel's back pocket, which is not even a thing, but for somehow they'll fucking get it. And most of them probably haven't even seen the movie. There's no fucking way critics will get this movie, will even understand it, but of course it'll get a way better thing than Wonder Woman or anything else because critics are in Marvel's back pocket. There's a fucking Clinton dynamic with people paying shit under the table for this. Trust me. Anything else to add on that, or you already got me fired up?
No, I mean, I'm good with that.
Fucking question. I was already pissed writing it.
We ran a little long on our
good.
chest day segment, so if you want, I can take us.
Banner can't even talk because he's drinking spice rum. All right.
Oh, it's so bad.
Our next question comes from Facebook, and our main man, Orlando Stewart, asks, the movies that DC has come out with this year, which has been very successful, do you think DC has overtaken Marvel? This was under our Doctor Strange realm. Who wants to take this first?
Go ahead, Hornacek.
I'll take this first. I mean, we love Orlando Stewart here on the pod. Thanks for writing in. Big fan of yours. Check out his YouTube channel, Classic Nerdy Nostalgia. I guess I'm a little confused by the question because movies this year, I'm trying to think, like, I guess BVS and Suicide Squad, and then conversely...
Say what you want about them, they made a lot of money.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, so did Civil War at the box office, so I guess, I think it was a
Marvel
good...
didn't have another one. Suicide Squad killed it at the box office. I don't think Marvel had two, did they?
So are we just talking about box office receipts?
Marvel will have two once Doctor Strange comes out.
Yeah, and also, if you release twice as many movies, I would hope you made more money.
Well, I mean, I'm that's the only thing I can talk about because Suicide Squad was shit. So that's the only bullet in my gun.
I really liked.
He made a lot of money at the box office.
Yeah, I really liked BVS, and I think the critics were ridiculous in some of their criticisms of it. So I'll just say this: I know that the Marvel versus DC feud is something that people love to get into, but we always talk about this, and I know Geiger and I have brought this up a lot of times off air with BVS and Civil War competing against each other at the box office. The people who really won were fans like us, who both studios push each other to make fucking awesome movies and stories that we wanted to see forever. So, yeah, maybe at the end of the day, DC made more money right now before Doctor Strange came out, but I just feel like I won because I got to see all these movies.
The only reason I believe that it's Marvel versus DC and it's Warner Brothers' fault is because, like you said, Civil War versus BVS was directly comparable because they're basically the same movie. It was two heroes going against each other, similar to the comics. And I think it's, what is it, 1 or 2 summers when it's going to be the Batman versus Infinity War. That's not going to be comparable because that's a fucking star-studded cast of a bunch of heroes versus just a Batman film.
Now, hang on. You say that now, their box office receipts will be very close. I
know it'll be huge, but the comparable thing, DC needs to quit. Warner Brothers, I'm sorry, DC's good. Warner Brothers needs to quit worrying about fucking catching Marvel because Marvel had, what was it? Iron Man came out in 2008. They had about a fucking 12-year head start of you. You need to stop worrying about it. And like I've told you off air before, you're going to get painting yourself into a corner, and I guarantee you the smart guys from Warner Brothers that always chime in on this fucking show that are idiots, they don't even realize this, that in about 2 movies, whenever you have a Wonder Woman movie or an Aquaman movie or a Flash movie that we're going to talk about, be like, oh man, I can't figure out who this guy is. Some guy in the fans like, why didn't they just call Bruce Wayne? They just did a fucking movie 3 months ago. I saw it. You need to do fucking solo films before you do all these like mega fucking superstar films to develop characters and storylines. They're just rushing everything. The Marvel vs. DC thing shouldn't even be happening right now. We started way behind DC. We shouldn't be trying to catch them. We should just be trying to tell great stories because we have better characters. We do. We have better villains than fucking Marvel because Marvel sold away their greatest fucking villains because they went bankrupt. The X-Men and Spider-Man. They just got Spider-Man back and we're still fucking losing. The question is, we're not winning at all. We're not. I don't think, anyway.
I mean,
Tanner, what do you think? You're the Fox guy. I mean, you're definitely in third.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what I say.
It really doesn't.
I mean, at the end of the day...
Just talk about Deadpool for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, X-Men was great, kind of revamped the whole superhero thing, and then we're like, nah, you guys can have this, and DC and Marvel and Warner Brothers can do what they want. Now, going back to Orlando's original question, the success of the DC movies this year, the only success you could go off of is the box office scores, which then you go, okay, it's 2 versus 1, DC and Marvel. if you don't look at that, you go, okay, is how good are the movies? And I'm the first one to say I did not like BVS prior to seeing the Ultimate Edition. Once I saw the Ultimate Edition, I changed my stance and I said it was a good movie. I'll be the first one to admit I flip-flopped. But I shouldn't have to spend the extra $40 to buy the Blu-ray Deluxe Special Edition blah, 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 blah to get a good movie. Then you have Suicide Squad, which, I mean, the trailers were cool. So there's a win, right?
I guess.
Although, yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think the best way to sum it up is it was a good summer for both studios. Both of them, at the end of the day, will say they were very, very happy with it. Obviously, DC fans are in their camp, Marvel fans are in their camp, but because there's a competition that exists, Geiger always says this, that brings out the best in both sides. And if either one of them thinks that they actually want to crush and eliminate the competition, then they're kidding themselves. Because could be the worst possible thing that could happen as a comic book movie fan is that one of them
and
goes away.
that goes back to the same point that we talked about on I think it was episode 2, episode 3, I don't know, when Mr. Oglesby had his opinion about giving Disney the rights to X-Men, which we're not even going to get into because that's so fucking ludicrous. You need all of these studios. These studios need to continue to produce high-level movies to compete with each other so that we win and get good movies. If Marvel owned everything, they would become stagnant. Just like if Warner Brothers owned all of DC or just continue to do the same thing and Marvel just stopped making movies, everything would become stagnant, and then we'd be like, hey, what's the next best fucking, I don't know, the proposal that's coming out?
Before we get to the last question, the best thing I can say to tie this up, everyone that's probably listening to this podcast used to be into wrestling when it was WCW versus WWE. Once WWE bought WCW and have no competition, besides me, who's a freak, do you watch wrestling anymore? No, because they suck. And I'll admit, Monday Night Raw sucks right now. It was way more fun back then. Competition makes everyone better. Now, our last question for the chest day takes place on Twitter. I don't have it fucking pulled up. I can't remember the name. I'll give you a shout out next time. Anyway, you guys, the question is, what do you guys want to see for the post-credit scenes in Doctor Strange?
Okay,
you want to take this, Jeff?
I'll take this first. And you guys both know notoriously I am just awful at spoiling these things for myself. I'm a disgusting person. I ruin everything for myself on the internet. Have not done that yet to this point. I'm going to guess. I know
There's still 3 days.
Yeah, I know. So don't quite say that I haven't done it yet. But I do know that we have 2 scenes after the movie. I'm going to guess one is leading to Baron Mordo Carl Mordo sort of turning into Baron Mordo as a villain. And then I'm going to guess the other one is either involving the Guardians of the Galaxy and some sort of Thanos tie-in or a Thor Ragnarok tie-in with something with maybe one of the Infinity Gems or showing like Hulk landing on Asgard or wherever he ends up. We're going to get an Avenger, I think, in one of them, whether it's Thor, Hulk, or I guess an Avenger. The Guardians wouldn't be an Avenger, but I think we might get them. But I think one will have to do with Doctor Strange. The other will probably be Thor. Banner, what do you think?
I agree. One of them has to be a Doctor Strange setting up Strange in the future, whether that's a Doctor Strange 2 or just his storyline as it interweaves deeper into the MCU. I think that the second one is going to directly tie to Infinity Wars. I think they're going to bypass Guardians. They're going to bypass Thor Ragnarok, and they have to go directly to Guardians. And how is Doctor Strange going to be involved in Guardians? Is it going to be... You mean
Infinity War?
Yes, I'm sorry, in Infinity Wars. Obviously, this cheap spiced rum works.
Maybe they should be a sponsor.
Maybe they should be a sponsor, yeah.
Well, if they're selling their shit for $10, they probably don't have much in the marketing budget.
Yeah, if it's on money though, because we have to buy Coke to put in it. So
no shit.
Pepsi, depending on what you want.
Depending on who.
I think
which of those sponsors us.
Again, I think one directly sets up Doctor Strange's storyline moving forward, and the other one ties Doctor Strange to the greater MCU, connecting to Infinity Wars.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. One will lead to a Doctor Strange 2. Just because, and that's pretty ballsy on Marvel because they had to wait to kind of feel the water before they did a Guardians 2 and did that. But one of them definitely, I think, an Avenger is going to show up in the last one because it's getting to crunch time, man. Infinity War has already been, we've seen the poster for it, we've gotten the cast list and everything. We get in the last fucking stone in this one, they're going to set that up. So that'll tie it up for to Jeff's take. I'm tired of hosting. I'm done with this. I just want to drink and answer questions.
But you're still technically hosting this, so Jeff doesn't delete it, right?
Yeah, well, Jeff's already deleted it because I've talked way more than him. So this is already, so we can say whatever we want.
Guys, we haven't even been recording
this. You guys want to talk about who you're voting for? We can talk about whatever we want because Jeff's going to delete this.
Yeah, we haven't even been recording this whole time. So the last thing of the day, we got our chest day topic in with Doctor Strange. We did a few Do You Even Lift Bros, had some questions from our fans. We're going to switch up the order today a little bit. And the last thing, just as recovery, we're going to do a protein shake topic. And just shake this out. And obviously, I'm going to take over here so that Geiger can put on the player's helmet and get back in the game, and I'll start coaching. But this is taking us back to DC. So this week it was announced that Rick Famuyiwa, who has directed the movie Dope, which I'm sure a lot of you saw was a Netflix movie, recently left the upcoming DCEU film The Flash due to, and again, this is the hot, sexy buzzword around there, is creative differences with Warner Brothers. Now, he's the second director to leave this project. Seth Grahame-Smith, who actually still is being credited with writing the script, left, I believe, about 2 or 3 months ago, maybe even more than that. So this is 2 directors in the span of about 6 or 7 months. So I guess now the question is, guys, how scared does this make us for the Flash film? How scared are we for the future of the DCEU? And then at this point, should Warner Brothers just give DC pictures away to basically fucking anyone here? Because it doesn't seem like they're very collaborative or very cooperative with some of these directors. Geiger, it would not be the Bro Force Squad podcast if we didn't let you chime in on DC first.
So obviously what he said was we had a director, and then that director left because of creative differences. Then we had another director that wrote some stuff, maybe a scene or two, and then he left because of creative differences. And now the next director has to, hey, we're doing this movie, we want you to do it your own way, but these have already been written, so take it from here. So I ask you, Bro Force Squad Nation, how could this get fucked up? Oh, and also, we have a deadline to meet, and Warner Brothers is a big-time fucking movie thing. They're not Marvel that actually wants these movies to be good, because this is the only thing they do. They just want it to hit a date. I am so fucking sick of this. And Flash, honestly, is really hard to get right. To bring it up again, Warner Brothers has never, ever, ever done anything good that wasn't Batman. Man of Steel kind of gets a pass. Everything else sucked that they ever done, except for V for Vendetta, maybe. You can maybe count that.
I like that movie.
I thought it was good.
That was a good movie. There's no way it would ever connect to DC Extended Universe ever, but it is a DC
Hey, they
comic,
said that about Watchmen in the New 52. They're part of it, so you never know.
Yeah, they could do that somehow, especially with Flash. But Flash is so hard to get right because I feel that DC is just playing card to card with Marvel. And trust me, once Doctor Strange hits it big at the box office, somehow a Constantine movie is going to fucking pop out of nowhere out of fucking Warner Brothers' ass. But Flash is going to be really tough, and they're going to try to... DC can only do it 2 things. Either jokey, fucking pathetic Batman and Robin, or crazy-ass dark BBS. They can't get it right like Marvel does with the jokes and the dark, which is basically what Flash is. I'm very scared for this movie because Aquaman they'll get right the way they're doing it. Wonder Woman I think they'll get right. Flash they will swing and miss on, which is really sad because of all the Justice League, I like him more than Superman right behind Batman. I love the fucking Flash. Love Barry Allen. I love the Wally West thing as well. They're going with Barry Allen. I still don't think Ezra Miller's the guy for it. I'm not going to say anything until I see it because, hey, I was on fucking Q saying Affleck wasn't the guy for it, and now I wave his flag around all the time. I don't know, man. It's not going to be good because it's going to be rushed.
I should have my head paraded around on a stake in the streets because I'll go on record as saying I didn't like the Heath Ledger casting at first, and I hated the Affleck casting at first, and I've never
love
been
the Heath Ledger casting. I'll say that. I always loved that.
But I have never been more wrong.
I've
never been more wrong about anything in my whole life except
until I
those
saw
2.
the movie.
So, all right, Banner, let's get your take real quick, and then we'll send people home.
What we're gonna get, I think what we're gonna get with the Flash movie is a Fantastic Four reboot. I think we're gonna have a really good 30 to 45 minutes, and then we're not gonna know what fucking planet we're on.
It's gonna be a Suicide Squad where after a scene I'm gonna be like, man, I like this, and then they're gonna let me down. It'll just be a heartbeat, man. It'll just be up and down the whole fucking movie. And it sucks because Flash is something that if you read the comics you think is so easy to get right, but Warner Brothers will not do it at all.
The thing that has me really confused and why obviously losing 2 directors on a project before you get started is just fucking horrendous, and you should really look in the mirror and see like why this keeps happening. But the thing that I'm really confused about is Seth Grahame-Smith, who wrote the original script and was attached to direct, said, fuck you, Warner Brothers, like I can't work with you, and he left due to creative differences. Now, Warner Brothers has kept enough of his script intact that they still credit him as the writer, and then they lose so I'm just confused like what their original feud was, and then Fumiyawa, who came in, I mean, at that point, if you've lost a director, you need to tell the next one, hey, this is exactly what we're making. This is how it connects. This is it. Are you cool with that? And you were assuming the guy would say, yeah, let's fucking get this made. So for him to then leave due to creative differences, I don't know if Warner Brothers changed the direction last minute, if he was lied to about what the movie was about, or if he just showed up and was like, you guys are crazy, I can't make this movie. Maybe a combination of the 3, but we'll probably never know, just like with Deadpool, but it's just really crazy to see this happen so far into the production process, the pre-production.
Just one more thing. Marvel has this problem too, but it's just because directors are very artistic, like, hey, I don't want to be told what to do or painted in a corner. And basically all Marvel asks them to do, I don't care what the fuck movie you make, we hired you for a reason, just make it connect at the end. Or we're going to have a scene after the whole fucking movie's done that you don't direct and someone goes ape shit about that. That's happened at Marvel, but I have a feeling these talks are being so done before even a scene is shot that it's not about connecting or anything. It's just basically about a lighter dark, or I want this to be kind of funny, or I want it to be fucking serious, or I want it to be both, that they're not even fucking seeing eye to eye at all, which is fucking terrible when you're getting these directors in who you think are a perfect fit and they don't agree with you. But I always lean to the director side when it comes to Warner Brothers because, I mean, look at their record. They're like the goddamn Cleveland Browns. They're like, what, 3-13? They made 2 great Christopher Nolan films, a great one Michael Keaton film, and a BVS one that was pretty good, and all the rest have been fucking shit with Jonah Hex, Green Lantern, and the list goes on and on. You tend to side with the directors on this stuff because Warner Brothers obviously doesn't know what they're doing.
By the way, the Cleveland Browns are at home, and they just said, you really think we'll win 3 games?
Yeah, they're stoked by that.
Because at the end of the year, they play playoff teams that will set their quarterback.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Browns got to get pretty hot here at the end. All right, guys, that's our protein shake. That's going to heal our muscles after that strenuous chest day. Geiger, do you want to take us home here and tell the people where they can find us, or do you want me to put a bow on this?
Absolutely. No, I got it. Come back for our Doctor Strange movie review for all your spoiler, non-spoiler action. Of course, to find everything Bro4 Squad, you can check us out on our website, www.bro4squad.com. The Doctor Strange movie review should be up Friday night, actually, because we're all going to it Friday. We're also on Twitter, @Bro4 Squad, and finally listen to us on YouTube, iTunes, subscribe to us to both, and like us on Facebook. Until then, we will see you guys after what? After credit scene number 2, right? So come back and check us out.
Be there.
But that's after the mid credit scene. But
after credit scene number 2. Yes.